Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. We have a great guest today, Kyle Ewing. The man himself is quite impressive. Built a couple of companies, built TerraSlate from his basement to a multi-million dollar brand with over $30 million in sales. But yeah, he's also the CEO and chairman at Windward Equities, an angel investor. He's the owner at Big Island Honey Company. He's in Hawaii. He's a triathlete. He did crazy stuff. Like he won the Kilimanjaro marathon, done a bunch of Ironmans as well that I see here. So I think this will be very interesting convo. Kyle, can you introduce yourself and tell us about what you're up to nowadays?
Yeah, buenos dias, Charles. Thanks for having me on the show. Super excited to be here today and to be live. I haven't done one live yet, so this will be the first of those. Yeah, I'm excited to talk business, entrepreneurship, and all things growth and scaling up today.
Yeah, let's start with the first obvious question. Why are you built that way?
Oh man, I think I was just born with the entrepreneurial bug, and I've never told this story publicly, but when I was a little kid, I grew up on a horse farm and we had chickens, and I liked the chickens as pets, including the horses. And I would sell the eggs at church, and to the headmaster's wife at school and those types of things. And my first tagline was Kyle's Egg Farm, delicious eggs from happy chickens. And as like funny as it is to even say that out loud, I think that's legitimately where I learned about entrepreneurship, like inventory and pricing and sales, and then a little bit of marketing. And then I would break the egg sometimes, so a little bit of customer service. Uh, and I think that's kind of where it started.
And your first company that you built from your basement, I guess that was your 0 to 1 or your 0 to 30 million. How did that happen?
Yeah, I actually had a company before this called Gorilla Tags ID Systems, and we made ID systems for athletes. So something that you would wear that would show an emergency responder who you are, who to call, and how to treat you if you were to get injured hiking or climbing or surfing or something like that. I had that company for only about 2 years and then made a successful exit. After that, I started TerraSlate, which is my primary business now, and we manufacture waterproof paper, which we sell both blank and printed to a wide array of industries, including restaurants and grocery stores and the military and NFL teams, Major League Baseball teams, one of the Formula One teams. So it's been a wild ride for sure.
But tell me a bit more about that paper. Like, why is it so niche?
Yeah, it's basically a product that replaces the need for lamination. So instead of taking a regular piece of paper, putting it in a little plastic sandwich, and then running it through a heat machine, with TerraSlate, you can just put a stack of it in your printer, any laser printer or copy machine, print it like normal paper. And what's cool is it comes out waterproof and rip proof, and the ink is waterproof. And you don't need any specialized inks or printers in order to do it. Um, my original idea for it was to make passports that were waterproof, because mine got wet, and then they, for the next 10 years, they would ding me about it every time I would go through customs. And my thought was it's still a valid passport, but they didn't like that it got wet. So I thought these should be printed on waterproof paper. And when I did that, nobody bought them. We sold like 2 a week, and my first run of paper was 100,000 sheets. And my wife was very tolerant about the amount of paper we had stacked in our basement. And I was literally selling a couple sheets every few days. So it wasn't a smooth start, but we made a pivot and got into the military and restaurants and things like that. People started figuring out applications for the material that I didn't know about. And that was really beneficial to the company.
And how do you get these ideas? Is it a personal problem? How do you know that their potential product market fits?
Yeah, I never know that it's going to be a potential market fit. I tried to solve a problem that I had and was hoping other people had this problem as well. The truth is, did I ever grow up thinking I was going to be a paper salesman in a digital world? Absolutely not. Like, would I recommend that to anybody? No, like, do tech, right? But what's interesting is when you create a niche product that works really well, it becomes relatively easy to sell. And the way you can sell waterproof paper on the internet or through a Shopify site is you send out a lot of free samples. So I sent them to every gym, restaurant, health club, a hotel, sports team I could possibly think of, and said, this is how you use it. Let me know what you think. And different things would resonate with different folks. Some folks loved that it was waterproof and rip-proof. Some folks loved that it was recyclable versus lamination, which is just trash. You can't recycle that. Some folks love that we're entirely powered by solar and wind energy. Some people don't care at all. But what's interesting is that there's a lot of different people in a lot of industries that the product does appeal to. And so my strategy is and was, how do I get this in front of as many people as possible? Let them test it. Let a restaurant literally put it in their dishwasher to test if it's waterproof. Because if it'll go through a commercial dishwasher, that's probably good enough for it to be on a restaurant table.
Interesting. And when did you make your first million? And when did you knew that you were sort of set for life? And why didn't you stop at that point and sort of retire?
I think for myself and a lot of the entrepreneurs that I know, if you asked them a number originally, they would say, oh, I retire at this number. But the problem is when you're born to be an entrepreneur, as soon as you get to that number, it's not big enough. And then you just need a whole another number. And then you need another number. And it's kind of perpetual. What it leads to and can lead to is burnout. It can be exhausting because you never reach the destination. And one of the things that was pivotal in my own life and in my career was I told my wife, Ashley, when I started TerraSlate, after we had a few sales and it started to grow, I'll sell the business in 2 years and we'll move to Hawaii. And then 11 years later, we still hadn't done that. I hadn't sold the business and we hadn't moved to Hawaii. And the truth is, like, I didn't want to sell the business and I still don't. I like running it. It's a business that's really engaging. I love our customers. I love the team I get to work with every day. And so last summer in July, we had our 10-year wedding anniversary in Maui. And I said, you know what, we just got to do this, because even today I could say I'm 2 years away from selling, but that hasn't happened yet. And I don't really know I'll be any different or in a different mind space in 2 years from now. So we literally called a real estate agent we saw on Zillow that day. And we started looking at a couple houses, and our official move date is June 1. So I will step out of the day-to-day operations at TerraSlate. I'm officially moving to a chairman role, but the truth is that sounds like an old man title to me. So I'm going to keep the title of CEO, at least for the moment. And I'll be an acting CEO, but not on a day-to-day basis.
Interesting. And what does your day-to-day look like nowadays? What time do you wake up? What habits do you nurture? And what companies do you work on? I think you're an investor as well. Is there some mentoring and into that day?
Yeah. When I'm in Hawaii, because of the 4-hour time zone difference between Denver and the 6-hour time zone difference between Hawaii and New York, I end up getting up really early. So a lot of meetings or Zooms for me start at 5 a.m. local time. And what's great about that in a lot of ways is it's completely quiet. Nothing's happening. There's no external distractions. I have the time to myself or to really focus in on the meetings. And then what I love is by 1 or 2 o'clock, the day is kind of over for everybody on the mainland. And then I feel like I have a half a day left. Now, do I always go to the beach and really leverage that time? I wish I could say yes. I often end up working then too, but while it's great to be highly productive, when I work there, I have a different headspace than when I'm in Denver. And that's where the magic happens. My COO here at TerraSlate has said several times recently, the more you're in Hawaii, the better the company does. And that feels good for me and for him and for the employees and our vendors and our customers. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, the ROI of a sea view is just insane, right? Like the abundance when you look at the sea, and sometimes there's storms, sometimes the sun is reflecting against water. Like there's no better landscape, and it relaxes you so much. Here I have a mountain and a forest view over the full city, and one of my favorite things, going on the roof at night, observing the stars, right? And soon we're possibly going to move as well to beachside with a nice sea view. And I think the ROI in that view is just insane in the company.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And for me, I think what happens is when I'm physically in the office at TerraSlate, there are a lot of questions. Hey, can I get you for just a second? Oh, 2 seconds. Can I get your approval on this? What's your thoughts here? I end up taking a lot of in-person meetings, but when I'm 3,000 miles away, I'm not less available, but I'm physically less available. And what that allows is for more clear headspace, and I'm able to do deep work where I'm really focused on something. I typically lose complete track of time. I can lose an afternoon, 3, 4, 5 hours because I'm really excited and interested in what I'm working on. And those are the things that are hard to do in an office when I have other people coming in and out asking questions or I'm on chat. And the truth is, I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to it because I like to help the team. I should always kick those people to my COO or to the correct department, but I like to connect with my team. I do kind of still love talking to customers, so I end up doing that. But the problem is it makes me the bottleneck in the business if I don't get out of the way and let the team do what they're great at.
You talked about burnout as well. I'm not sure if I agree with that because I always have more ambitious goals, right? It never stops. You and I, we both did Ironmans and ultras, and it's an addiction, right? Like I did 100K last year. I'm about to do 110 this year, and I don't think I'll ever stop. I mean, yesterday I had a 600 miler on my podcast, and he's coming to Oaxaca in a week from now. And now we're gonna do 75 together next week as a training, right? And I think it's just fun. I don't think I really burn out. I think it's just like the constant 1% growth, Tony Robbins philosophy, sort of. And when you're a high achiever, you're like a pit bull chasing something, right? So I think I'm very entertained. At least there is some moments in which, yeah, you get physically or mentally injured. But do you believe in that concept of burnout, or is that just that a corporate thing that most 9 to 5ers go through?
Yeah, it's tough. I think what burnout looks like for me is I'm burnt out at the end of the day. There's always a tough day to be had, and sometimes those wear me down. But the truth is, for better or worse, I wake up every day and I'm excited about it. I'm fresh every day, and so I think what I experience as burnout is pretty short. It can feel really intense, but the truth is, like, I wake up the next day with a clear head and I'm ready to go. And I'm not sure exactly why that happens, but I'm
It's called sleep.
I don't wallow in it.
Yeah, no, I think the brain is good at piecing things together and sort of healing these micro traumas that we get as entrepreneurs on a daily basis. I think psychotherapy helps. I have a psychotherapy GPT nowadays as well that sort of fix these pieces before I actually go to sleep. I use saunas and cold plunge and sports a lot to sort of juice out all the negative energies if you want. What does your recovery stack looks like?
Oh man, I'm a big runner, so I run pretty much every day. A couple of other things that I've gotten really into are surfing. I mean, we have just incredible access here in Maui to surfing. Sailing is something that I don't know that much about. I can sail a Hobie Cat, but I've been really interested in learning how to sail a bigger catamaran. There's just so much access here. Paddleboarding. I was down in the Caribbean and somebody taught me how to e-foil, and now I feel like I'm completely addicted to that, and I just have to buy one, which I haven't done yet. But I just love sunshine and the water and getting outside. But I mean, if I got to pick one thing for recovery for the rest of my life, and it could only be ever one thing, it would be a run every day, and then a jump in the pool, and then a outdoor shower.
I love that. Yeah, I love that stack. And yeah, we're both runners. You did pretty hard events. Like, tell me about the Kilimanjaro marathon. I didn't even know about that one, but how does one actually win that? I mean, it's pretty hard to win these events. What happened there?
Yeah, that was it was the weirdest day. It was on like a Saturday in 2009, and we showed up to the race, and everything looked great. Like, it's going to be a good race. And then all of a sudden it just poured rain, absolutely poured rain, like to the point where somebody had to drag their heel through the dirt road, like in the mud, to make a starting line. Um, and it was this course that had these series of loops kind of going up the side of the mountain, and it was mostly on dirt. And with the amount of rain, the trucks couldn't get water to the aid stations, and the mud just like caked on my feet. It felt like it was like this big around, and I didn't know what to expect. So I went out, and I stayed with the lead group, and then there were some injuries that happened because people had fallen on some of the steeper sections. And then there were some of the elite runners that bowed out because they didn't want to be injured. And then, a couple groups, and I just kind of stuck with the lead group, and I thought I will just stick with them as long as I can. And when I fall off, I'll finish wherever I finish, and that'll be great. Like, what a cool place to get to run. And I just felt great that day. So I stayed with the lead group, and then at mile 20, I was expecting to hit the wall. That's 20, 22 is kind of where I start to feel that. And I felt really good at 20, and then at 21, and I felt like I was building at 22. And so I dropped the lead group, and I thought, well, they're definitely going to catch me, but I better run fast while I feel like running fast, because this might not last forever. Like, if I only get 10 more minutes of feeling good before this falls off a cliff, I might as well go hard then. And it stayed through the finish. And then that last like half mile, quarter mile, like I couldn't tell who was behind me, and the course got really windy. And I was looking back, trying to figure out like who's about to pass me, because I was like, this is my max. I have nothing more to give. So if somebody comes around that corner behind me, it's not going to be a sprint to the finish. They're just going to blow by me at this point. And so I just held on for dear life. And it ended up being a great day. It was pretty fun to win a marathon in Africa. Definitely would recommend.
And what's your pace per mile normally?
Now it's a lot slower. At the time, I was trying to maintain 6-minute miles. It was not a fast marathon. The rain and the mud and the dirt. I can't remember what the time was, but it was a little over 3 hours. And I was literally the most sore I've ever been in my entire life after that. Like, my hip flexors from lifting heavy feet all day, like wet and mud, like, oh man, like my butt was so sore, my hamstring. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll run the marathon on Saturday, and on Sunday I'll do the climb from the bottom, from like Arushi all the way across 5 days, up and then down. And I remember thinking, there's no way I'm going to make it. Like, I could barely walk from my tent to like the bathroom tent, much less try to walk up the side of the mountain again. And I did make it. My friends were incredibly helpful and shameful, which is exactly what I needed in the moment. And I still love them for that. But that was a pretty hard couple of days afterwards.
Man, that's so epic. Like, yeah, dude, let alone winning that, and then you did the actual Kilimanjaro climb, the 5 days, the recovery, right, process in the air, which is pretty hard. It's like at low oxygen, and it's pure uphills, right, in Kilimanjaro, and then it's different food, different climate from you. So yeah, that's quite epic right there. You seem to be like chasing these adventures nowadays. Are you doing still some of these? What's on your agenda?
I've been really business focused. I had my little girl in January of 2020, and that changed how I allocate my time. I spend as much time with her as I possibly can, and something had to suffer. So the truth is, like, the Ironman triathlons and mountaineering and things like that, I had to deprioritize something, and so I had to elect to do that. But I still get out there pretty much every day. It's just a little bit of a different capacity now.
Right. So you're gonna sign up for the 110K with me in Brazil, the UTMB, right? In September?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have. When is it?
September, 21st of September. I already have a couple of CEOs and founders that are gonna do it with us. So yeah, counting you on the starting line there in Brazil. I have a bunch of friends in Brazil and the co-founder as well there. So yeah, we're waiting for you there. But that also, I'm curious about the honey company. When did that one happen in the portrait? Tell me about that one.
Yeah, so that was about 18 months ago, and my wife and I were on the Big Island of Hawaii with our little girl who was 3, and we were trying to buy some food at the grocery store that she could eat that wouldn't have to fit in the little tiny fridge. Like at the time, she was just eating everything all the time, and that was great, but it didn't all fit in the fridge. So we went to the store, we bought some stuff, we bought like 10 things, and then like I looked at the receipt, and it was one of those moments where I just didn't pay attention enough because I was trying to like keep Abigail like under my arm and all the things. And then I looked at the receipt. I was like, what did we just buy? And I was like, it's this honey. And my wife was like, that better be the best honey we've ever had. And I was like, absolutely. So we brought it home. We tried it with a spoon in the hotel room, and we were like, okay, yeah, this might actually be the best honey we've ever had. And it's not yellow. It's literally white, and it's thick. Like it doesn't pour. It almost has the consistency of butter. And so I looking at the label, and I'm like, wow, this stuff's made like up that volcano. We should drive up there tomorrow. And so we drove up there, and they're like, well, we don't really do tours. So I bought a case, and they were like, well, we can't ship it for you. And I said, okay, no problem. So I bought a case and drove to FedEx and shipped it back. And then we bought a couple more cases, and I was giving it away as gifts. So I used to love to give away wine, like a nice bottle of wine for an introduction, nice bottle of wine for referral, a thank you. Hey, Charles, thanks for letting me be on your podcast, that kind of thing. And the problem is not everybody likes wine. Some people are whiskey drinkers. And then some people don't drink, and it can be a little triggering to send somebody a bottle of wine. So like, that's not good. And what I figured out right away is with honey, nobody's allergic to it. Everybody likes it. There's no age restrictions on it like wine. It doesn't trigger anybody, and it makes them incredibly happy because most people, at least my friends, we're not buying, at least intentionally, a jar of honey that costs $160, right? Like I'm not doing that intentionally. But when you give it,
Dude, I thought like $35, $160.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Holy shit!
And it's always sold out. It's like we pre-sell it out all the time because the capacity is
Larry Ellison and Zuck just buy them all.
Yeah, that and the Saudis, So it's a business I have a lot of fun with. Is it something that can really scale into a big brand? No, but I think that's part of the authenticity. It's a passion project. It won't do $1 million in sales this year, and I don't really want to scale it too quickly. And part of it is that the land that these bees are on in the apiary is why the honey is so unique. So it's 2,500 feet above sea level. It's on the side of a volcano, and you get these flowers that grow in ultra mineral rich soil. And those flowers produce the pollen that the bees do the thing with. And the honey is literally unbelievable. If I can figure out how to import it into Mexico, which is hard to do, I'll send you some. Or next time you're stateside, I'll FedEx it to your hotel so you can.
Just when we're in Brazil, you just committed to Brazil, so you're gonna shoot me a nice pot of that. I have a guy that actually keeps on reaching back to me and wants to buy my go-to-market service. He produces coffee and honey in Hawaii. Matthew something. Maybe he'll decide himself one day, but it looked pretty cool and very healthy as well, right? It's called Manuka honey, right? That's what it's called.
So Manuka honey actually comes out of New Zealand. So it's a different type of honey. But what's cool is people, they know Manuka honey, and some Manuka honey can be incredibly expensive as well. And that actually really helps us because the people that buy our honey have typically bought Manuka honey. So the price for a jar isn't so jarring when they buy from the Big Island Honey Company. And so some of the customers are just great. Such cool people all over the world. We get the nicest notes and photos in. So I just love that stuff.
Nice. Well, nice having you on, Kyle. Thanks for being on. Where can people find out more about you and your company?
Yeah, I'm a big LinkedIn user. So Kyle Ewing on LinkedIn. TerraSlate.com is the waterproof paper business. And then if you're a honey connoisseur, it's BigIslandHoney.com. And if it's back ordered when you go there, we will ship it as soon as we can. But I apologize in advance; it's very hard to get.
There you go. So that was Kyle and Charles for another